The phone rang 17 times before going to voicemail, then 18, then 19. For 3 days, the man who built his political empire on never staying quiet, who famously posted dozens of times daily on social media, who couldn't resist responding to even the smallest slight against him, had gone completely silent. Not a single post, not a public appearance, not even a statement through his spokesperson. In the high-stakes world of American politics, silence isn't just unusual, it's alarming. When Donald Trump, a figure who thrives on constant communication and media attention, suddenly disappears from the public eye, questions don't just whisper, they scream. His last public appearance was Tuesday evening at a campaign rally in Ali in Songsat. Last public appearance was Tuesday evening at a campaign rally in Sozine, Michigan, where witnesses now recall he seemed unusually subdued, cutting his remarks shorter than typical. By Wednesday morning, his Truth Social account, normally buzzing with activity before sunrise, remained eerily quiet. The speculation began slowly, like ripples on water, but quickly transformed into a tidal wave of theories. Anonymous sources close to his campaign started whispering to reporters. Democratic operatives began making carefully worded statements about transparency in leadership. Republican allies found themselves scrambling to explain the unexplainable silence from a man who had never met a microphone he didn't want to use. Medical experts, political analysts, and conspiracy theorists alike began filling the void with their own interpretations. Was this a calculated political strategy? A medical emergency being covered up? Or something even more sinister? In an age where every politician's health is scrutinized, where every cough is analyzed and every stumble dissected, 3 days of complete silence from Donald Trump felt like an eternity. The American public, already on edge in this politically charged climate, found themselves asking the same question that would soon dominate every news cycle, every dinner table conversation, and every social media feed across the nation. What exactly was happening behind those closed doors? Before we dive deeper into this developing story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This is exactly the type of breaking political analysis you won't want to miss, and we're tracking every development as it unfolds. The timeline of events reads like a political thriller. Tuesday night, October 15th, Trump wrapped up what many described as an unusually brief rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Campaign staffers, speaking on condition of anonymity, later revealed that the former president had complained of fatigue during the flight back to Mar-a-Lago. But fatigue isn't uncommon for someone maintaining a rigorous campaign schedule. Wednesday morning brought the first red flag. Trump's Truth Social account, which had maintained a consistent pattern of early morning posts for months, showed no activity. His campaign manager's phone calls went unreturned. Scheduled interviews were quietly postponed without explanation. The silence was so uncharacteristic that even his harshest critics began to take notice. By Thursday, the political rumor mill was in overdrive. CNN reported that multiple sources within Trump's inner circle had been unusually tight-lipped about the candidate's whereabouts. Fox News, typically friendly territory, found their requests for comment met with evasive responses from campaign representatives. The Washington Post ran a front-page story titled, "The Silence That's Speaking Volumes." The medical speculation intensified when Dr. Anthony Morrison, a prominent physician who has treated several high-profile political figures, appeared on MSNBC. Without directly referencing Trump's situation, Morrison explained how political figures often attempt to hide health issues during critical campaign periods. His comments, while general, were widely interpreted as commentary on the current situation. Meanwhile, social media exploded with theories ranging from the plausible to the absurd. Some suggested Trump was dealing with a minor health issue that his team was keeping private to avoid impacting his campaign momentum. Others theorized about more serious conditions. The hashtag were as Trump began trending across multiple platforms, accumulating millions of mentions within hours. The political implications were immediate and far-reaching. Democratic strategists, while publicly maintaining respectful silence about any potential health issues, privately acknowledged that the situation created an unprecedented opportunity to question Trump's fitness for office. Republican operatives found themselves in damage control mode, trying to address concerns from donors and supporters without having concrete information to share. Campaign finance records from this period would later show a notable pause in major donation activity, suggesting that even Trump's most loyal financial backers were waiting for clarity before committing additional resources. The uncertainty was creating exactly the kind of instability that campaigns worked desperately to avoid. The silence also raised important questions about transparency in political leadership. The American public has come to expect, and arguably deserves, regular communication from their political leaders, especially during campaign periods. When that communication suddenly stops without explanation, it creates a vacuum that speculation and concern inevitably fill. Historical precedents added weight to the public's concerns. Political leaders have previously attempted to conceal health issues, sometimes with serious consequences for governance and public trust. The famous examples of Franklin D. Roosevelt's polio, John F. Kennedy's Addison's disease, and more recently, concerns about various presidents' cognitive abilities, have all shaped public expectations about medical transparency from leaders. Friday morning brought a brief statement from Trump's campaign communications director describing the candidate as taking some well-deserved personal time with family. The statement, however, raised more questions than it answered. Why hadn't this personal time been announced in advance? Why were previously scheduled events canceled without prior notice? The explanation felt insufficient given the unusual circumstances. The media response was swift and intense. Cable news networks began running continuous coverage, with panels of experts analyzing every word of the campaign's limited statements. Political reporters started calling sources across Washington, trying to piece together what might be happening behind the scenes. International media outlets picked up the story, recognizing its potential global significance. Medical privacy laws complicate these situations significantly. While the public has a legitimate interest in the health of political candidates, individuals retain rights to medical privacy even when running for the nation's highest office. This creates a tension between transparency and privacy that has never been fully resolved in American politics. The economic markets showed subtle signs of uncertainty during this period. While not dramatic, there were noticeable fluctuations in sectors typically sensitive to political stability. Currency traders, always alert to potential political disruptions, began watching the situation more closely. The interconnection between political stability and economic confidence was evident even in this relatively brief period of uncertainty. Social media algorithms amplified the speculation, creating echo chambers where theories could develop and spread rapidly. The platform's engagement-driven systems naturally promoted the most sensational content, often at the expense of factual reporting or measured analysis. This dynamic contributed to the rapid escalation of public concern and the proliferation of unverified theories. The international community also took notice. Foreign policy experts noted that America's allies and adversaries alike monitor the health and stability of U.S. political leaders closely. Any perceived weakness or instability can have diplomatic implications that extend far beyond domestic political concerns. By Friday afternoon, the pressure for information had reached a crescendo. News organizations were dedicating significant resources to the story, with reporters stationed outside Mar-a-Lago, campaign headquarters, and anywhere Trump might potentially appear. The intense media scrutiny itself became part of the story, raising questions about the appropriate balance between public interest and personal privacy. The resolution, when it came, was both anticlimactic and revealing. Late Friday evening, Trump emerged for a brief photo opportunity at his golf club, appearing healthy and dismissing questions about his absence with characteristic deflection. He described the preceding days as strategic planning time and criticized the media for their obsession with fake controversies. However, the 3 days of silence had already accomplished something significant. They demonstrated just how central Trump's constant communication had become to his political brand and public presence. The absence of his voice, even temporarily, created a vacuum that highlighted both his influence and the public's dependence on his regular commentary. The incident also revealed the fragility of political communication in the digital age. In an era where political figures are expected to maintain constant public engagement, even brief periods of silence can create significant speculation and concern. The 24-hour news cycle and social media's instant nature mean that unexplained absences quickly become major stories. For political analysts, the episode provided insights into the current state of American political discourse. The rapid escalation from curiosity to concern to intense speculation demonstrated how quickly political narratives can develop and spread in the modern media environment. It also highlighted the public's hunger for information and their willingness to fill information vacuums with speculation. The health question, while apparently resolved in this instance, remains a legitimate concern in presidential politics. The demanding nature of the presidency requires physical and mental stamina that voters have a right to evaluate. The challenge lies in balancing this legitimate public interest with respect for personal privacy and medical confidentiality. As the dust settled, several lessons emerged from the 3-day silence. Political leaders and their teams learned about the risks of information vacuums in the modern media environment. The public gained insight into their own dependence on constant political communication, and the media demonstrated both their investigative capabilities and their tendency toward speculation when facts are scarce. The incident ultimately reinforced Trump's mastery of media attention, proving that even his absence could dominate news cycles. Whether intentional or not, the silence reminded everyone of his central role in American political discourse and the attention his every move commands. Moving forward, this episode will likely influence how political campaigns handle communication gaps and health-related questions. The intense scrutiny that 3 days of silence generated will probably encourage more proactive communication from political figures and their teams, recognizing that in the modern media environment, silence is rarely golden, it's suspicious.